Just the second SEC Sweet 16 matchup all time. The Volunteers looking for back-to-back Elite Eight appearances for the first time in school history. Peyton Manning in the house to see if they can do that. Kentucky, they swept Tennessee in the regular season, looking to advance to their first Elite Eight since 2019. Middle of the first half, Zakai Ziegler, the lob to Felix Akpara, throws it down. Tennessee up 8. And with that dime, Ziegler passing Sean Tui for the most assists, 261 in SEC history. Now, Kentucky's ensuing possession. Ortega, oh, wait. Akpara says, And then the other way, Chaz Lanier bowls up 11 after the freebie. Under 5 to play. Ziegler going to work on the Kentucky defense. 20 seconds to go. Ziegler, just a man possessed. Knowing how to use his body to get the advantage. They go into the half up 15 for Kentucky. The largest halftime deficit in the NCAA tournament game since the 03 Elite Eight game versus Marquette, now halfway to the second half. Lanier the floater, no. Akpara, yes. Now, while the cameras cut away, Tennessee fans cheering, they stole the inbound, and Ziegler knocks down a triple. Tennessee up by 17, and they have all the momentum in this one. In final 5 minutes, it's a 13-point game. Jordan Gainey. I mean, you got to show better defense than that if you're Kentucky. The Volunteers cruise to the win, 78-65. It's the first time they've won 30 games and reached the Elite Eight in the same season. And for Rick Barnes, it is his 5th Elite Eight appearance. 5th. And on this night, Kentucky, they just did not have the 3-ball working. In their 2 wins against Tennessee, they shot 50%, only 40% on this day. And the Tennessee Volunteers, they out-rebounded Kentucky 34-24, and that proved to be the difference. And here's Evan Washburn with the Volunteers.
What was the biggest difference in this game in comparison to the previous 2 that you lost to Kentucky?
I mean, I just say our preparation. The coaches did a great job at preparing us, and then our guys, we followed the scouting report the whole 40 minutes.
How much does that bloody lip kind of embody what you guys brought to this game?
I mean, it's just toughness. We're a tough team, and that's what we hang our hat on every night for 40 minutes, so I'm proud of my guys.
Speaking of toughness, Zakai, you've been leading this team all season long. What was your message and mindset to the group as you took the floor tonight?
Well, it's really what Jamal said. You know, we ain't played Tennessee basketball the first 2 times we've seen them, and tonight we went out there and played Tennessee basketball. Simple as that.
What are you guys bringing to the Elite Eight on Sunday?
Toughness, grit, and you know we're going to play Tennessee basketball. We're going to be us, baby.
Congratulations. Enjoy, fellas.
Appreciate it. Go forward.
Ziegler saying they're going to be us, and he's going to be him, right? And when you look at the most career points in NCAA tournament history, in Tennessee's history, rather, Zakai Ziegler, he's creeping up on that list, and he's sure to pass some of those folks ahead of him. He's got 107 right now, and he has put a stamp on this program, and it'll go even further if they're able to advance to the Final Four.
Rick, they seem to operate the first 2 games with probably more ease offensively than most of your opponents are used to operating. Did you guys want to come out tonight and maybe set a tone kind of physically that the games were going to be played on different terms?
Zakai, we'll start with you.
Well, I feel like the first 2 times we played them, we didn't play Tennessee basketball. So I feel like coming out this game, we really wanted to set the tone and show them who we were, because the first 2 times we played them at their place and our place, we weren't ourselves. So just coming out, we knew regardless of what happened, we was just going to go out there and play Tennessee basketball on the offensive end and the defensive end, and I feel like we did a great job at that tonight.
Coach Barnes?
Again, I don't ever want to take anything away. I mean, they beat us, okay, because whether we did or didn't do our job, the fact is they beat us, but we knew we had to defend the 3-point line better. I mean, the thing about it, they made 3 tonight. They got 13 off, and you know, Lamont Butler was terrific. He made 4 of them, and that was our #1 goal. And they run such good offense, and we just wanted to take away the easy back cuts and the 3-point line, and we did a better job today, obviously, than we did in the other 2 games.
Right here, please.
Hi, Liv Clements with Indiana University. Zakai, the last 2 times you said it wasn't Tennessee basketball. You made that clear. Tonight, 18 points, 10 assists. What do you say about anyone that doubted Tennessee basketball tonight?
Zakai?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people doubted us, but, you know, like the first time, you know, they got a lot of threes off. They got what they wanted to get off. The second time, they got anything they really wanted on us. And, you know, going into this, we just had to really emphasize all the little things that we usually do, like whether that's beating out gaps, you know, running guys off, not getting back cut. So it really came down to little things like that. And, you know, everybody just staying laser focused and playing Tennessee basketball for 20 minutes in the first half and 20 minutes in the second half. So us putting two halves together really was really important to us. And, you know, we did an amazing job of that tonight.
Right here.
Rob Lewis with VolQuest.com. Felix, for you, that one sequence in the second half, you get the dunk, still in the backcourt. Zakai hits the three. I mean, that felt like a one shining moment. I mean, what was your emotions right there when that happened?
Felix.
Man, it felt great. You know, it just felt like we were playing like you said, Tennessee basketball. You know, we were playing aggressive, also playing smart. You know, we trust this guy. You know, making that shot. You know, for me, it was just playing my heart out, playing aggressive, and trying to play defense the right way.
Questions, please. Raise your hand. Questions, please. Right over here.
Wes Rucker, 24/7 Sports. Zakai, you know, Chaz had his moments tonight, but there have been some moments where he's just kind of really gone off. And for y'all to kind of control that game as much as you did without Chaz kind of going off, what's that say about maybe the rest of y'all?
Zakai.
Well, you know, I really feel like we're a great all-around team. You know, Chaz is an amazing shooter, amazing basketball player, and, you know, he's one of the most unselfish guys. So whether he's scoring or not, he's happy for everybody. And, you know, he's going to make his same cuts and he's going to do what he has to do. And, you know, whether he makes a shot or gets the ball or do whatever, you know, he might make a cut to get somebody else open. And he understands that. So, you know, the way he plays, you know, it might not look like he's doing much, but he's doing all the little things to get somebody else open. So, you know, I feel like everybody down the line on our team, we're amazing basketball players and we're a great all-around team.
Right here.
Rob Lewis with VolQuest.com. Jordan, for you, as a competitor and as hard as you guys work, how rewarding is it to maybe, I don't know if it was your best game of the season, but it was maybe close on this stage against that opponent? Just how rewarding is that?
Jordan.
It's very rewarding. You know, we lost both games earlier this year, and we came into this one knowing what was on the stakes. You know, we had a chip on our shoulder ever since we stepped foot in the film room, and we went out there and proved it. We played good team basketball and really just had fun out there.
Right here in the back.
Right here in the back, guys. Trey Wallace with Outkick. Zakai, this is for you. It seemed like, I don't know if handed the keys over to you is the right way to put it, but Rick Barnes has entrusted you with this offense, and from the start of the game to the end of the game, you were dictating how Kentucky was trying to guard you guys. What does it mean for Coach to kind of give you the reins and let you run what you think should be run, even though you're looking at him, but again, at the same time, that trust?
Zakai.
It's amazing. You know, have a coach like this, a Hall of Fame coach, give me the keys pretty much and have that much trust into me, it means the world to me. You know, I bring it back to when, you know, I was being recruited by him. You know, him just telling me he's going to give me a fair shot of being on the court. And, you know, ever since that conversation, you know, Coach Barnes has never lied to me about anything. And, you know, all the way up until this point coming in, I was really never a point guard. And for me to be one of the top point guards in the country now, and, you know, him pretty much to breed me into that, it's amazing, you know. And for him to have that much trust in me, it's amazing. You know, my mom calls me about it all the time and says she's so thankful about it. And, you know, I can't even put out words how thankful I am for Coach to, you know, have that much trust in me and believe in me that much.
Right here.
Ryan Costello, Indy University. Zakai, your bench had 23 points tonight to Kentucky's 6. How important is it for them to make that impact in each game?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you know, we got a great all-around team. You know, whether it's the starting five or the guys coming off the bench, you know, we can. You know, in practice, we go at it every single day. So, you know, I don't really feel like, you know, guys start during the game, but it's really next man up. You know, no matter who's out there, we feel comfortable with everybody who's out there. You know, everybody that, whether you're starting, whether you play 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute, 30 minutes, no matter what, everybody's out there and they know what they're doing, and, you know, we feel comfortable with it. So, you know, everybody that came off the bench, they did an amazing job, and it was a great all-around effort.
Right here.
Wes Rucker, 24/7 Sports. Question for Felix and for Zakai. This might be difficult with Jordan sitting in between the two of you, but at what point are people outside the state of Tennessee and the Southeastern Conference going to have to mention Jordan Gainey?
Felix?
Man, no.
I would say, JG's really good. I feel like he's a real good basketball player, and I feel like he gets slept on a lot. He put in the work, and you can see it's paying off. For him, coming off the bench, it's a really importance for us, coming off the bench, because he can bring that fire, when we need it. And also, I think, with him on the team, it makes our team a little more versatile. With Chaz, if teams are trying to take out Chaz, we got JG online, trying to make plays.
Zakai.
Yeah, well, I'd call it like this. JG's the best sixth man in the country. He's a sixth starter, and, I know every time he step on that court, he's like a microwave. He's hot already. So, every time he step out there, I'm always looking for him. Me and him, we go out there and practice. Throughout the summer, we didn't talk so much trash to each other. We go at it all the time, whether it's playing one-on-one, 5-on-5. And, I see the work that he puts in. I be beating him in a lot of shooting contests. So, but I know how great of a shooter he is. I'm just really happy to be on the team with Jordan Gainey sometime.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
We got about another one.
The Volunteers all smiles and laugh after their convincing win over Kentucky. And look at this. Zakai Ziegler. He's got the most assists in a single season in SEC history, passing Sean Tuohy, who did it with 260 back in 1979 and the 1980 season. And for more on Tennessee beating Kentucky, we bring in Adam Finkelstein, the one and only, and Tim Doyle. And gentlemen, everybody says, yeah, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. For me, I felt like this game was going to be closer, right, than what we've seen or what we saw. But instead, it's Tennessee. Felt like they just wanted it more, especially on the glass. They held Kentucky just 40% from the three-point line. Tim, I'll start with you. How did Tennessee get this done?
Well, you heard the guy saying scouting report. That means going out and defending the 3. I thought they completely disrupted Kentucky's offense. Kentucky came into this game assisting on nearly 70% of their baskets in the NCAA tournament. They were averaging 80 points a game. Tonight, only 10 assists on 25 field goals. The percentages aren't that bad. And if you look at Tennessee's percentage, you go, well, 51%. Let's dive a little bit deeper, Adam. Tennessee shot 63% from 2-point range. Dominated points in the paint. They had 38 points in the paint. So not only did they dominate points in the paint, then the guards, Jordan Gainey, Zakai Ziegler, Chaz Lanier, all of those guys stepped up in a big way. This game, even though Kentucky had won the two previous meetings, really wasn't competitive.
There's a lot of things you could point to here. You could point to the perimeter dominance. I'm going to go to what we said were the keys to the game in the beginning. And we said this, the three-point shooting is what got Kentucky their first 2 wins over Tennessee this season. Conversely, Tennessee dominated them on the glass. Now, which of those variables was going to change in this one? It turned out to be the three-point shooting. The reason why Kentucky didn't make threes is because Tennessee wouldn't even let them get them off. They attempted 15 threes in the entire game. That's over 10 less than they shoot in an average game. And that is the essence of three-point defense. They ran them off the line. They didn't even allow them to get them up. And again, we can point to the guards. We can point to a lot of different things. But the three-point defense, to me, that was it tonight.
No, that was absolutely huge. And on the other side, right, they didn't need to shoot well from 3, right? They're only 26% from 3 for Tennessee, that is. So when you look at how there were moments in the game, Tim and Adam, where you felt like Kentucky was going to make a run. They had a couple baskets, right, trying to get within 10. And then Tennessee was like, that ain't going to happen, whether it was Chaz Lanier, whether it was Zakai Ziegler. So what does it say about the poise and the, I guess, mental fortitude, knowing that, yeah, you've lost to Kentucky twice, and this time it's to get to the Elite Eight?
Well, there was a reason why Tennessee was favored in this game, even though in the 2 previous meetings, Kentucky had one with Lamont Butler and one without Lamont Butler. But, the preparation, the scouting report, they were locked in. They had time to prepare. And looking at this Kentucky team, that's not 100%. They've had injuries. There's a different roster than we saw. Hats off to Mark Pope. We'll talk about him in a second, getting his team to a Sweet 16 after initially getting booed when he got hired. But I thought this Tennessee team was locked and loaded. I'm just frustrated, Adam, because on my bracket, I wrote Tennessee, scratched them out, put in Kentucky, and now all of a sudden, that region has blown up. But hats off to Tennessee. They have an amazing backcourt. This is what wins this time of year. They have experience, and they were locked and loaded, focused on this game plan.
Chris, the last time you and I sat here, we talked about Zakai Ziegler.
We did.
You asked me a question about Chaz Lanier, and I was like, forget that. I want to talk about Zakai Ziegler. This guy is so tough. And that post-game interview exemplified who he is. And to have a leader like that, to have a point-of-attack defender who sets the tone for everything you do, particularly on the defensive end of the floor. Every year that Zakai Ziegler has worn a Tennessee uniform, they have been in the top 4 in the country in defense. 4 years in a row, he is that good, and he's about 5'8". This guy has the heart of an absolute champion, and Tennessee's going to their 2nd straight Elite 8 because of it.
Yeah, heart of a champion, you know, is size, heart of a lion. It's cliche, but it really shows up in games like this, because it doesn't matter how tall I am. You're not going to get the ball from me. You're not going to, you know, out-hustle me, outwork me. I'm going to get the job done, and that is what Zakai Ziegler does. Now, when we talk about this program and Rick Barnes, how impressive is it that he's back to Elite 8, knowing what it took to get here, Tim?
Tell him about the sauce.
Oh,
tell him about the sauce.
Oh, the sauce.
Yeah, tell him about the sauce.
Yeah, he's got a sauce that can only kind of get you to a certain point, right? It's like the sauce is good, but then the last couple of bites, which is like the final 4 bites, sauce tastes a little funny.
But it might have a little different spice this year.
You think it's
good? It might have a little different spice this year. It's called offense.
This was a huge, I think, mental hurdle for them because Kentucky had won twice. Not only did they won in a dominant way. We all knew Tennessee could play. They were in a great conference. Some games the offense didn't show up. Sometimes the defense was there. This was a total team effort. I kind of trusted their defense more than I trusted their offense, but the experience showed in this game. But yeah, Rick Barnes is one of the great coaches of this generation. But we're always going to talk about the sauce. Can the sauce get you over the hump, get you to a Final Four?
Until he gets to a Final Four, that's going to be the narrative. It's unfortunate, but in this sport, in men's college basketball, it is all about what happens in the 3 weeks in March and April. And I think this could be the year that he does get to the Final Four. Reason being is because this is the best offensive team. They're as good as always on the defensive end of the floor. They can beat you in different ways offensively. Last year, Dalton Knecht needed to go for 25 in order for them to beat one of the big boys. This year, they can beat you in different ways. Chaz Lanier can go nuts. You can see Gainey go nuts. Ziegler, we've got the pick-and-roll combination. Akpara had 7 offensive rebounds tonight, so they can do different things to beat you offensively. Top 20 team in the country on the offensive end of the floor.
Yeah, really phenomenal work by Rick Barnes and his crew. Now, when we look on the other side with Kentucky, we talked about it. You know, they've been banged up for so long. They were still able to get to the Sweet 16. Mark Pope, in his first year, Tim, how would you grade his performance, knowing all the pressure, all the expectations, and the injuries?
Am I a Kentucky fan? Because they would probably grade it like a B. I would grade it an A-. You know, I think this is a sensational year. When they hired him, he was like, what? This guy? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And, you know, he had this team buy-in.
Scott Drew? No.
Totally. They wanted big names. They wanted the splash. And when this guy came in, I love the fact that he embraced the history. He kind of brought back the roots. He got Patino back in the building. It was like, whoa, what's this guy doing? He's got a fun-loving personality. I thought his team was fun to watch. They shot the 3. That was a problem with Kentucky teams in the past when Calipari was there. I don't give it an A because, I don't know, maybe one more win, and you lost to a team that you beat twice. So I can't give it an A. You got an A-.
Here's why I give it an A. Because I give it an A on a curve.
Oh, we're doing curves.
We're doing curves.
Yeah.
And the curve is the injury bug.
Right.
The curve is Jackson Robinson going down for the season. The curve is Kerr Kriisa going down for the season. This team didn't have a point guard for the vast majority of the last half of the season, and they got to a Sweet 16. This was an incredible coaching job. An incredible coaching job. Remember, he took over a job. Everybody, to your point, was like, we're hiring this guy?
Totally.
And he built a roster in a matter of months. He put pieces together, and he came up with a system that was a little different than we saw at BYU. Remember, at BYU, half of his shots, last year's team at BYU, were 3s. He had to come and play a totally different style, and he has breathed life back into that program. Listen, I'm not one of these guys who's going to get up here and speak poorly about John Calipari, but everybody knows a change was necessary. And that fan base, if they don't love this guy, they should, because I think he overachieved with that roster and what happened to that roster this season.
I'm definitely in agreement with that. I felt
What are you in agreement with? The A on curve or A-? Like, what do you...
Tell him.
No, A on the curve. A on the curve because of the injuries. Because of the injuries, all right? Listen, Kentucky, they look like they're in a good place. Obviously, you know, they didn't get the result they wanted to hear on Friday, but the future is definitely bright, I would say, for Mark Pope in company.
For him as a coach, the way he was able to, he had to build a team in a year. Let me rephrase that. He had to build a team in 40 days.
Yeah.
40 days. He's not walking through a desert, bro. Like, you're building an entire roster, and you got to pick these pieces, and hopefully they all kind of mesh together, or you get these guys all to buy in. He was able to do that. The only reason it's not an A, he lost to a team he beat twice.
Hey, it happens sometimes. It happens. It's not hard. It's not easy.
I get it.
To beat a team 3 times. Okay?
Not an A. It's an A-. Sorry, bro.
A on a curve. And that's the final word. Me and Adam are in agreement. Tim, not so much. But remember, we've got so much coverage of the Elite Eight Saturday and Sunday. Who will go to the Final Four in San Antonio? We are so close to finding out. Can't wait.